Well, I'm delighted to say that joining me on the Godcast today is Anthony Horrocks. Now, Anthony's not a famous individual. He's not a celebrity. He's not a singer or a comedian or a priest. But Anthony's got a fascinating story, and he's a Burnley lad. And I've known Anthony for a while. So, Anthony, it's great to get you on the Godcast. How are you doing?
I'm brilliant. Yeah, thank you. Really good.
All the better for Burnley being champions.
Definitely. Still awake at 2 o'clock this morning, watching repeats of it over and over again.
Yeah, my mind was racing, and I was up. I managed to nod off, but then I woke up at 5:30, and I spent the next hour and a half just watching reels and highlights and fans. It's just brilliant for the town, isn't it?
Oh, it's superb. What a season. And to go and win it at Blackburn, that's, it's just top the season off, hasn't it?
Yeah. So the Godcast, Anthony's come on the Godcast to talk about his story, because Anthony's got he's got a story of kind of real sadness, but also real recovery. And just to give this some context, Anthony, I remember the first time I met you, it was at the Breakfast Club at St Matthew's. You might not even remember it, but you come in and you were sweating and you were not at your best. And I think you may have had a brew, maybe a butty, and then off you went. And you were down on your luck, but now you're a healthy guy, sat there working. So we're just going to look at that story a little bit. So let's start off, Anthony. As a kid, how was it growing up? Were you Burnley lad, I take it?
Yeah, born in Burnley. Yeah, brought up Piccadilly to begin with, and then up Stoops Estate.
Yeah.
Had a really loving family, really loving mum and dad, and I've got a brother and sister. Nothing like me. They just worked all their lives, and I've been totally different, where I've ended up addicted to drugs and in and out of prison most of my life.
Yeah. It was what was school like, Anthony? Did you enjoy school, or was it hard work, or?
I was kind of. I was always told that I could have done better, but I always liked the class clown. Wanted to be the one that stood out. Always wanted to be like somewhat different, and and I think it was a lot to do with fear, that I was scared of people not liking me, so do anything I can to try and be liked, which had the total opposite effect as well.
Yeah.
People are not liking me because of the way I acted.
Yeah. and all teenagers go through that stage of rebelling, but I suppose yours got a bit extreme, did it? Can you remember how it went off the rails a little bit as a teenager?
Well, a few of us started like gas sniffing and glue sniffing and things like that. And when I look back now, with the people that I were doing it with, a lot of them would go off home and throw the glue bags off to the side. And when they did, I'd check the glue bags to see whether there were anything left in them, and I'd carry on using me, and I'd go out on my own and do it on my own as well. So when I look back now, I think that's the addict in me, that other people could stop and go off and do normal things. I couldn't, and I just carried on progressing on to other drugs and looking for something better.
Did you ever get caught glue sniffing by adults or your parents or family? Or?
My brother once caught me and give me a bit of a pasting when I was about 13. So yeah, my brother's caught me a few times. I think my mum and dad, I don't know whether they were like kind of in denial because they didn't want to know, didn't really want to know it. I'm not sure whether they just didn't know or was in denial that they didn't want to believe.
Yeah.
That the son were doing such things.
So you start sniffing glue, and you do this to what, the point of leaving school?
Sorry about that. Someone's just phoned me.
That's right. So you using the glue, Anthony. Does this carry on through your latter part of your school days? Does it? And then what happens?
Um, I went on to who progressed onto cannabis and acid and mushrooms and, taking mushrooms in school. I went to St. Theodore's and we had cricket ground just at the side of us. And one time we all went out at dinner time or whatever, all picking mushrooms, eating them, and went back into school like off his head off mushrooms, and the lads that I've done that with, one of them's dead now, God bless him, and the other one's in recovery with me. He's now 3 years clean. So the ones that I've done that with has had the same like disease as we say of addiction.
Yeah.
And
when you're doing the mushrooms and stuff and the cannabis, Anthony, did it ever occur to you that what you were doing was not a good thing, was not a healthy thing?
No, because at the beginning it were all fun and games. And being so young, there weren't really any consequences. It could go home and go to his mum and dad's and, just always had food and always had stuff there for us. So you could just go out, take drugs, and there were no consequences to begin with.
So you were quite content to do it at that point?
Yeah, we're really happy to do it. I actually love taking drugs. I did. I love taking them. It was something that it changed the way I really thought. I think back then, if I actually told people what was really going on in my head, they'd all laugh at me. And this is it was like I thought I was really different to everyone else. I remember growing up and used to saying to my mum and dad, "I'm adopted me, aren't I?" And I always had this like finger not fitting in. Where, like I said, no one liked me. I always had that in my head. No one know me. I ain't got no real friends. They're like a really pity party sort of thing, and I think drugs changed that in me. It changed my head and how I felt about myself.
Yeah.
Give me false confidence as that
Yeah.
is.
So with at this stage, Anthony, we're talking about soft drugs, aren't we? We're not talking about stuff that is necessarily going to damage you long term, but it's going to, but it soon evolved onto something harder. How did that transition from soft drugs to hard drugs happen? Was it just like, well, I want to try this buzz?
Yeah, I actually met Lindsay when I was around 17, 18 or something. I think about 18. And I think I fell in love with Lindsay straight away. She was my first love, and I've got two children to her now, even though we split up for a long, long time. But I can remember I was a bad alcoholic as well. So I was drinking continuously and I was aggressive and violent off the alcohol. And she just didn't want to know me, so she split up with me. And I can remember saying to her, "If you leave me now, I'm going to become biggest smackhead in this town." And I can remember just shrugging at me as though to go and do what you've got to do. And me thinking that it's going to harm her rather than me. I went and done it and ended up taking heroin and crack cocaine and ended up addicted to that.
And did your family know about that? Were you open and transparent about it? Did people know you quite quickly as a smackhead, for want of a better words?
The people did know quite quickly as soon as I got into that. Obviously, I was in denial and denied it to everybody and anybody. I'm not taking that. What you on about? Even though I'd lost like 2-3 stone in weight, not looking after myself, not bathing, not shaving, just becoming really down and out.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'd try and deny it to best I could.
And I don't want to go too deep with the family stuff, but did the consequence? You just said you had kids. Did the consequences of being a good father ever occur to you? By being an addict?
Yeah, definitely. I didn't have kids until my later years. I think I was 35 when my first kid was born. But I went through many years. I went to jail and got a 3.5 year sentence when I was about 20, 21. Got onto crack and heroin at about 20. Went to jail not long after, 3.5 years. And I just thought that crack and heroin were my problem. I thought that's what caused my life to go downhill. So for me, if I stayed off them, I would be okay. So I was determined to stay off them because I hated who were becoming everything. So I come out, I stayed off them, but found myself in the same situations continuously, in and out of prison, causing harm to myself and all my family. And that went on for many, many years, another 10, 15 years or so, just in and out of prison.
What was your first conviction for, Anthony? What were you incarcerated for the first time?
There's riots up Streets Estate, and a fray. So yeah, I got that one the first time when I was about 17.
That. Just tell us about going from having your freedom in the public to being locked up. Was that did that affect you in a positive or negative way? Were you frightened about going into prison, or did you adapt quickly? Were you a tough guy that could look after yourself?
I'd say the first 2 weeks I was absolutely terrified. I can remember being looking in my cell, looking in the mirror and thinking, well, why am I in jail? I shouldn't be in jail. I'm not this sort of person. And I was terrified. And then, like I did get into a fight in there and got nicked and ended up in block. Come out at block and I'd hit him with a tray, with a metal tray, and it gave me this, people like kind of fear me, you know what I mean? And so it gave me this like false bravado that I was something I really wasn't. So I put a front on and pretended to be this big, hard, tough man. And I started wearing prison like a badge of honor then. That it was something good, and look at me, how much jail I've done. And, just really insane, just really stupid and insane.
So you leave prison for the first time, Anthony. Are you still an addict at this point?
Yeah, I got out and my first time I went in as an alcoholic. I'd not took heroin or crack or anything by then. When I was 17, I went in as an alcoholic, and I got out and just carried on doing straight everything I was doing. Ended up locked up again for another assault, and I think I got a couple of years, and then just lived a life like that. Just nothing would stop me from taking drugs in one form or another, and I just always substituted one drug for another.
Yeah. And how did you pay for this then?
Through robbing, thieving, it's just all different ways: shoplifting, burgling houses, robberies, just any way I could, and manipulating my family, and my mum and dad, and people that trusted me and loved me, just manipulated them out of money. So,
when you weren't high on something, Anthony, what was it like? The down? Were you remorseful? Were you asking yourself those same questions? Why am I doing this? This isn't me. What was going through your head when you're not actually on the high?
Yeah, I think I was always remorseful. I think even when I was taking the drugs, I was remorseful. I hear people saying that they had no conscience and they just done it. Well, I think I did have a conscience, even when I was out thieving. I was like, oh no, I shouldn't be doing this, I shouldn't be doing it, and I knew that I shouldn't be doing it. My conscience was there, but the need for drugs overcame that. It became more powerful. And I'd just done it anyway because I just needed them drugs. So I always had a conscience. I always felt a bit of guilt, a bit of shame. Well, a lot of guilt and a lot of shame around it. And I just couldn't stop myself. I can remember getting out of prison when I was around 25 again. And I was stood in my mum's garden and I'm looking across the road and some guy's just messing in his garage with a car and that. And I just bust out into tears. My mum's gone, what's wrong with you? And I'm saying, why can't I just be a normal person? What is wrong with me? You know, I just didn't know what was wrong with me, didn't know what I suffered with. And I just couldn't stop myself from taking drugs and causing harm to everybody. You
know. And what was your? I don't know if this is the right word, if friendship circle's the right word, but how many people how many real friends did you have at that time? Yeah, you know, a lot of addicts describe people they're with as associates rather than friends. Did you have any real friends at that point?
When I look back, no. I thought they were friends. There were people that I was just using with. They weren't real friends. The friend, it's like if I've learned a lot different today. A friend wants the best for you. They don't want to kill each other, you know. And I weren't friends to them either. I just wanted what I could get out of them, you know. And it was just that circle that we lived in the drugs.
Yeah,
just anything you get.
And sorry, I've just noticed there's somebody behind you. And just if I can ask you, Anthony, what was your lowest point as an addict? What was the, you know, I you know, one of my favorite. I'm a big fan of a band called Depeche Mode, and the lead singer fell into severe addiction, and his lowest moment was kind of on the bathroom floor with his face in a pool of urine, and he just thought, I can't do this anymore. What was your lowest point?
There's been that many. I don't know. Honestly, there's just been that many lows. I think possibly when the last just before I got clean, I was living in my house and I was addicted to. I ended up getting back on crack and heroin after 20 years or so off it, and I ended up addicted to crack and heroin again, and also smoking spice. And I was taking everything pre-gabs, and I'd split up. I got back with Lindsay, had 2 children to her, and then I couldn't stop drinking and smoking weed, and so I was still taking some sort of substance. But Lindsay didn't want that around us children, so she split up with me again, and it just broke me. I felt like I'd lost everything. So the only way I tried to numb the pain was through crack and heroin. I knew that our drugs did work for numbing pain temporarily.
Anthony, did you recognise that cycle that you'd returned to where you were all those years before when you said, you know, if you leave me, I'm going to go and do that? That's exactly what you did, isn't it?
Yeah, I think again, insanity. I'll be all right this time. I know what I'm doing.
Yeah,
I can control it this time. I won't end up addicted. It'll just numb my pain, and I'll use it as medicinal purposes. Just again, insanity. The definition of insanity is repeating the same thing over and over again and expecting a different result. So as addicts, we do that a lot, and you know we are insane. You know,
yeah.
Speaking for myself, I am insane when it comes down to things like that.
Yeah.
You
know. Anthony, I don't know if you remember this, but you'd be coming to the Breakfast Club, and then you disappeared for a while, and I didn't see you for ages, and I bumped into you up at Townley Park. I don't know if you remember that.
Yeah.
And you were with Alicia House Recovery, and you went, all right, Father Alex, and I looked at you, and I actually didn't recognise you. I couldn't believe the transformation that I'd seen, and you know, if anybody wants to have a look, there are some pictures of you on your Facebook, aren't there, of when you were. And the transformation was like, I was like, because people call you Spud, don't they? I was like, Spud, is that you? It was like, and I just couldn't believe it. And I was like, I remember walking off thinking, I just can't believe that's the same guy. I know. And just tell us how that turnaround happened for you. You know, what was the thing that thinks I need to break this cycle and need to give this some serious consequences? Just before we get on to Alicia House, just tell us about
Um, I think, like I said, I really hit my low point in my life then. I wasn't seeing my kids really. You know, Lindsay had never stopped me from seeing my kids. She would always say, and she'd always let me go up to her house to see my kids. But I was going up for the wrong reasons. I was just going up again to manipulate money out of her. And I just couldn't do it anymore. I was having people coming into my own house and, you know, just using crack and heroin. And then when I was asking them to leave, they was hitting me, you know, sidewinding me. And I just thought, I can't live this life anymore. I just can't do it. And I can't do it for my kids. I hated it as well, you know, so I just needed to change. And I think it got mentioned off Ryan and Mick about Alicia House, and I just needed to try something. So it got mentioned to me, and I think it took me about 6 months or something before I ended up saying, "Go on, what's this help available?" And then ended up in Alicia House from that.
just and just tell us about because I'm sure a few addicts will listen to this, Anthony. And would you just say a few words about detox? You know, about going through you know, that down period of coming off and, you know, resetting kind of thing. Just say a few words about that if you would.
It's awful. It's absolutely horrible, and you know, it's like I just didn't think I could do it, but the determination that wanting to change pushed me through it. And you know, it's no matter how bad it was when I was detoxing in Alicia House, was still better in the life I was living, having to try and get money for drugs every day.
Yeah.
So it's not a good thing detoxing. Definitely not. It's an horrible feeling.
Who were the people that got you? You talk about your partner quite a lot. Was she around through this?
No, she wouldn't talk to me by then. She like I say, she wouldn't stop me from seeing kids. I'd go up, she'd walk out of the room, I'd talk to kids, and then I'd manipulate money out of her. She didn't want it, and she'd just give me money most of the time just to get rid of me out of her house. You know, when I first went in rehabilitation, she wouldn't talk to me. Took her about 2, 3 months whilst when I was in rehab for her to come and talk to me. My mum would always say for me. My dad wouldn't talk to me. Even when I first come out of rehab, my dad wouldn't talk to me. Didn't want to know me. But I'd let him down that many times. I can't blame him. You know, I promised over and over again that I was going to stop, that I was going to change. And I really meant it. I honestly did mean it, and I wanted to. I just didn't know how to. I didn't know what I suffered with. I didn't know I suffered with this disease of addiction until I went in Alicia House and started working on myself through it.
Just tell us, Anthony, about rehabilitation, because I suppose part of that rehabilitation is not just stopping drugs. I suppose it's dealing with the guilt of what your life has done to people for quite a sustained period of time. You know, and I suppose I don't know, because I'm not been in your situation, but I suppose an element of that guilt never leaves you, does it? But it's about understanding that and coping with it. Just tell us how you do that.
I think serving people now by trying to help others who are in the situation I'm in, and hope that I was in, and hoping that you know we can get them clean off drugs at some time, and you know get them changing their lives around. Just helping people that deserve the help. Like I work for Church on Street now, and we so we help a lot of like homeless and addicts and vulnerable people So by helping them, it like kind of helps me as well.
Yeah.
So it's like kind of being selfless to be selfish. I think I put my testimony on Facebook over there. Well, Alicia House put it on. I wrote it out for them, and
Got it here.
yeah. Well, there's always like you said, the guilt and shame, and a girl messaged me and well, she put it on that I'm glad he's better. He burgled my house, and you were like, oh no, and really got me, and
Yeah, I know, Anthony. It's tough, isn't it?
yeah, and I did message her and apologise, and and she said it was a really big thing to apologise, and I couldn't ask for anything, I couldn't ask for forgiveness. I don't expect forgiveness for the things I've done. I've really caused harm, but I'm so glad that I've been given the chance to at least apologise for the things I have lost.
Your honesty is just overwhelming, Anthony. It's very moving talking to you, but it's inspiring as well because you have entered this new world, haven't you? And there's a couple of things I want to ask. First thing is we've not touched on the faith aspect. Is where did faith come into this? Where was has this been part of your recovery? Your faith in a higher power and Jesus? Just say a bit about that if you would.
Yeah, I went in Alicia House, and through the steps, it asks you to find an higher power of your understanding. And, in step 3, it's all about God and turning his life to God. So I can remember doing the work, and I was saying, I'm writing this out, and I said to the manager, I can't do this. I don't believe in God. I told him to F off. Who are you talking to? I said, God. I said, I don't believe in him. No, but when you were telling him to, who were you talking to? I said, God. He said, how can you be talking to him if you don't believe in him? I'm like, oh, no. So I think I always had that belief there, but I just turned me back on God. And I think but from then I started to pray and hope that I'd be okay. Praying that I could get through it. And I was up in my room in Alicia House one day praying, and I was actually saying I can't do this, and I just felt this warm glow, and just felt something around me, and I thought it was just something saying you're gonna be okay, you're gonna be right, and I just I just knew it. To me, it was God. It was God there telling me I was gonna be okay, and that's what turned me faith to more and more to God. So I knew he was there, and I knew he was going to look after me.
Yeah, amazing stuff, Anthony. And then as you're in Alicia House and you're starting to get better, what did that feel like? Did it feel empowering? Did it feel wonderful? Just tell us a bit about what recovery feels like.
It was really hard at the beginning. It was really hard, to stay there and deal with the consequences of your actions, and actually like take responsibility for the things that you've done. Because all my life I've blamed everyone else. It was everyone else's fault except mine. Even people, it was the government's fault all the time. If the government wanted done this, I wouldn't be on crack and heroin. It's their fault, and so to actually like start taking personal responsibility and to look at, I can remember I was saying, I do love my kids, I love my kids. And someone went, oh, you don't. You're taking crack and heroin when you've got kids. That's not love. And it's like, oh, and you've got to like really start looking at things like that, and the harm you've caused to everybody, and your actions and all. It makes you look at everything, and you get a choice of what you want to become. Step 1 is like the problem. We write out our life is when we're taking drugs. Step 2 is coming to believe, and we'll write out our life could be if we you know, what we see in other people that's gone before us who are clean. And then, like I say, step three is like a decision, and it's up to you whether you want to live in step one or step two. Then, and I knew for a fact I didn't want to live in the problem and carry on causing harm to everybody. So
And tell us about Alicia House, Anthony, what they did for you.
they're amazing. They put up with so much grief from me, you know. Like I was a baby just trapped. I used drugs from such a young age. I hadn't given my man a chance to grow. You know, I was just a baby trapped in this man's body. I went in that everybody hated me. Nobody liked me. Everyone were bullying me. I wanted this. I want that. Just a baby throwing tantrums all the time. And when I look back, I'm surprised they didn't go, get out, you absolutely had enough of you, get out. But they didn't, they put up with me and they supported me and they got me through it. And, you know, they changed my way of thinking. I remember them telling me, you need to start loving yourself, you. I thought loving yourself was standing in a mirror going, look how good I look. You know, that's what I thought loving yourself was about. And they learned me that loving yourself is by doing what's best for you, doing what's not going to harm yourself. You know, when your mates are going, come on, we're going to go and do this. It's going, nah, I'm not. I'm going to do something different, you know. I'm not doing that just to fit in. I'm not doing that just because everyone else is doing it, you know. It's by doing what's best for you. And so I'd started to learn to love myself in that way. Start to learn to take responsibility for my actions that I've done, you know, the past things that I've done.
Yeah. And you've done that. You've done that, Anthony. Yeah. And you're not a baby in a grown man's body anymore, are you? Sorry, you make me really emotional because I know you and I'm so proud of what you've achieved.
Thank you.
Just tell us, Anthony, about life being clean. And I know you've got some good friends around you now. Tell us about your friends first of all.
Yeah, I've got some brilliant friends around me. We've got a group that will go out football with all the time. We go on Burnley matches together, home and away. You know, I've got a group of friends there. We've got friends that I work with. You know, and they actually want the best for me. You know, they don't just want something from me. You know, they want me to carry on doing well in life. They want me to carry on being clean, and they'll support me through that. Because as an addict, I still get like urges, and you know, I'm nearly 2.5 years clean, and I will still get urges, and I'll still get these crazy thoughts in my head. But as you know, I can ring them and say, look, this is how I'm feeling. And they'll talk me back to sanity. You know, they'll support me through it. So yeah, I love my life now. I really do. It's, you know, it can be difficult at times, but it's what else. That's what recovery has shown me as well. That life isn't always plain sailing. You know?
And your family must be very proud of you.
Yeah, and this is not just from me saying it. They've said it to me. They're really proud. I can remember the first time like I said, my dad didn't speak to me for years, and then I've been out of rehab for a few months, and I walked to my mum and dad's, and he went, "Do you want a brew?" I'm like, "Wow," you know what I mean? And I'm like, "What? Oh, it's only a brew. What are you going on about?" But it wasn't only a brew. You know, it was much, much more than that.
What was it? What was it, Anthony?
It was my dad accepting me back in his life, giving me that chance again. And like I say, he'd give me so many chances. I couldn't blame him for not trusting me again. But I think carry on sticking to doing this stuff, and it might take 2 years, it might take 5 years, it might never happen, but we can't determine that from stopping us from doing what we need to do to get well and stop causing harm. But I've found that if you do it, most people will support you and forgive you. You know, whether they do fully forgive, I'm not sure, but that's, you know, I think forgiveness is for God, though.
Yeah.
You know, as I believe God has forgiven me for the things I've done,
Yeah.
as long as I don't go out and do them again.
I'm pretty sure that's true, Anthony. And you must love being a dad now.
Yeah, I love it. Yeah, I see my kids every day. I pick my daughter up from school. I have them at my house at weekends. I won't be having them this weekend because I'm going away to Bristol to watch Burnley, and we're spending weekend away. We've all got an hotel, my lads, my mates from recovery, we're all going down and spending weekend down Bristol, and it's just things like that I could have never have done in the past. You know, we're a group of lads that are absolutely superb, um, who have got the same goal in life as me, to stay clean and
Yeah.
not to cause.
Anthony, I'm so grateful for listening for you coming on and telling your story and your truth. And I just perhaps want to finish by asking you to speak directly to people who might be an addict, who might be going through all those things that you've described, and what you might say to them now as somebody who's been clean for 2.5 years.
It's really difficult, I think you've got to want it, but I just want to, there is help available, and if you do want it, you can contact me. You can get hold of me through Father Alex, or you can come down to church on the street.
He just muted himself. He's back.
Someone rung me again. My mum rung me. I'm sorry about that. Yeah, so you can come down to church on the street, and we can support you through. And we have Alicia House coming in here every Thursday, so we can get you in contact with them, and you can, go down the road I've gone down, and it is possible. It's difficult to begin with, but it's possible, and it's much better of a life. I love my life now. I really do.
Anthony, thanks so much. You're a star. I'm so proud of what you're doing, and just keep going. And I just say thanks for coming on the Godcast, Anthony. Thank you.
I want to thank you, Father Alex, for everything you've done for me as well. Like you say, from my days of addiction right through, you've become a good friend. So thank you too.
God bless you, brother.